Hi, I'm James Williams and this is Chimes Media. I wanted to latch on to something that Paul Joseph Watson raised, but it's how the big tech firms seem to be colluding to suppress certain wrongthink, to muzzle conservative thinking. Now, I want to make a distinction here between conservatism and like conservatives, as in like the Conservative Party, because I don't think that the current British Conservative Party is very conservative, to be honest. I think they've drifted away, certainly from the Maggie Thatcher times, and some of them are coming out with sort of pro-state socialism like never before. But that's my opinion, isn't it? And I know I'd be probably regarded as hate speech. From Paul Joseph Watson, he says, by corralling basic conservative opinions and beliefs under the umbrella of hate speech, social media giants have invented a new ploy to censor conservatives while claiming they are not censoring conservatives. Yeah, well, this is the double speak you get, and actually you find that a lot in looking communist regimes of dictatorial dictatorships around the world. They often say they're doing one thing and they're doing something else, and that's quite common. That, in fact, in the you saw the 2016 presidential election, you found the Democrats were accusing the Republican side of doing whatever what they were doing. You know, it's like a double speak. We're robbing you, but it's actually you're doing the robbing. You know, that sort of thing. Anyway, so now you're going to find that nationalism, patriotism, populism, and Christianity, which were all bedrocks of our culture and society in the past, in our parents' days and long into the distant history books, all these are now being treated as hateful by the big tech companies. Why? Why? Because they challenge the narrative that's being pushed. That's why. They're challenging this capacity for us to be able to doubt what we're being told. This is why there was a surprise when Trump won the 2016 president election, when Brexit was voted for, when the Italians voted the way they did, all these surprise things. They're surprise things because they weren't predicted to happen. They weren't meant to happen. And why not? Because some of these ideologues, and there's a collection of them, have got this vision of this utopian future where we're all one big family across the globe. We're all the same. We're all same and all believing the same kind of things. And they don't like it when people doubt what their philosophy is. And you have to say, their philosophy brings a lot of misery. I don't need to mention Venezuela, do I? But it's a pattern. And so they don't like it. So the only way to deal with opposition is not to debate and discuss and argue, but to shut you down. And that's the socialist way today, unfortunately. It is the socialist way. It's to shut you down so you do not have a voice. Now, let's reiterate. Communism is state control. It's state control of all things, all the capital, everything. It's having state-controlled industries. That's what communism is. It's supposed to be shared means of production, that sort of thing. But it's the state takes control on behalf of the proletariat, like they're sort of managing on our behalf. And of course, anybody amongst the proletariat, the rest of us, that doesn't agree with them is usually sanctioned, quite brutally very often, as 20th century history has shown. What is it? 120 million? We don't know actually how many tens of millions of people died at the hands of communism, socialism, because many of them weren't recorded, they just disappeared. Um, right, so one of the latest examples is PayPal. And there's been this persecution of Alex Jones, but he's one of the most prominent ones that's been highlighted. How all the tech companies gang together and within 24 hours, all of them, except for Twitter, who did it later on to make it look good, all of them banned him. And now PayPal have shut him down as well. Why? Why are PayPal, who are basically supposed to be acting like a bank, why are they pitching in on this political persecution stuff? I don't know. It's ridiculous. I might not be able to say anything myself before long. So Silicon Valley, communists basically and socialists in Silicon Valley, and they are wanting the hateful tag, a hateful tag associated. You don't have to look very far, but the communist Chinese have this sort of aspect to things. Their approach to things is to shut people down. So they don't want spreading of rumours and improper values. Well, it's a subjective thing. I'm not saying that you might have a different point of view, a different value to me. It doesn't mean, say, my value trumps yours or yours trumps mine. We have a plurality of values, if you like. But no, that's not allowed in terms of authoritarianism, which is what these clowns are doing. Something desperately needs to be done in Silicon Valley, the tech companies. Maybe you have to break up Google. Maybe you have to enact the First Amendment on them as their public utilities. And also, they are now publishers. So therefore, the argument about them being responsible for what they publish has to be seen for real. But, freedom of speech is getting crucified. And you've got people like Ted Cruz. Oh, I don't really regard Senator Ted Cruz, who's attacked in a restaurant. Now that's commonplace. Sarah Sanders had this with her family a few weeks ago. It's commonplace. They track you down and hunt you down. And in the workplace as well. Workplaces are adopting socialist type values, social justice warrior values, and people getting sanctioned for wrongthink. What the hell is going on here? What is going on? This is the fascist bit. The fascist bit allows private companies to exist, but they do as they are told. And this is exactly what's going on. But big tech has defined conservatism as hate speech. And we're all in that category, the majority. The only thing I can say, and we have no powers as individuals. You've got Tommy Robinson, who's going for trial, and they've added 2 more charges to his list. They're determined to send him down. They highlight and any aspect you've done, anything you've done wrong, stubbed your toe in the street and it was recorded. Anything they can get you on, they will get you on. This is how it is. It's really horrible. We are living in a very grim time because at the end of the day, history has a habit of repeating itself. In spite of what you're told, it has a habit of repeating these things. And at the end of the day, is the gulag, right? And when they have already started, really, in a sense. They've already been arresting people in London and around surrounding areas who've said the wrong things. Like Amy from Brighton, who said when she was accosted in a car park, and aggressively as well, and she says she pushed this guy away and then said have a gay day with a smile. She was arrested for hate speech for that. That's crazy stuff. That is absolutely crazy stuff. Why was he not arrested for being aggressive and threatening? Well, no, he's on the different side of the fence, isn't he? And let me just say, going about Islam, this bit will probably get me banned as well. Islam, right? There's all sorts of wrong things about Islam. I've got whole lists of stuff. I ain't got time to go through it all now. But they've got more anti-Jewish stuff in the Quran than Hitler's Mein Kampf has. It's what the effing hell is going on? Anyway, I want to finish. I've gone and put down 6 signs of regressive leftism for you to spot if you see it in your family, in the streets, wherever it is. Most people, I think, are still normal. But unfortunately, this lot are taking over because they go for key positions. You find your chiefs of police the heads of head teachers in schools, that sort of thing, are all getting infected with this common purpose strategy, which is a sort of a communist version of the Freemasons, where certain trained individuals get into key positions which control society. Do you know, it's a few years ago now, it's a 2005 bit of research I did. This is obviously ages ago, but I don't think it's changed at all. When I did a common purpose search, people have been trained in common purpose, in Portsmouth, I found that every single school in Portsmouth had one common purpose person, a trained person in that school. Why was it so? And these are all paid for by the taxpayers. Special courses. Anyway, 6 signs of regressive leftism. 1, they are opposed to freedom of speech, because that's freedom of opinion, freedom of doubt as well, freedom of expression. 2, they tend to support extreme racism and sexism. That sounds odd because they're the ones who are screaming we're against misogyny. Yeah, the sort of racism is they're very anti-white, they tend to be, and against men. Kill all men. This is the thing about this Kavanaugh thing, assuming that he, because he's a male, must be guilty, regardless, just because he's male. That's it. He's guilty as charged, without any evidence at all. That is a sign of extreme racism and sexism. Number 3, arguments are not arguments, but they use labels and insults and stereotypes. You're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a hate speecher, whatever you want to call people. That's what you are, and that's number 3. Number 4, ban everything that you don't approve of, which is exactly what they're doing. They're shutting down InfoWars. They're taking people, they're closing down Twitter accounts, all this stuff. That is what they do as well. 5, a denial of reality. Now, I like to use this one as an example. In 2009, in Berlin Zoo, a woman, I don't know if she's a leftist or not, a woman thought it'd be a good idea to go and cuddle the polar bears in their enclosure. And she jumped over the fence and jumped into the water to go and give polar bears a cuddle because she thought they need it. This is her fantasy versus the reality. Because what did the polar bears do? They did what they do naturally. They started to try and eat her. Yeah, there's film footage of that. That is a graphic example of what we're talking about. But there's many others I'm sure you can find out. And number 6, last but not least, authoritarian. My way or the highway. I don't have time for your opinion. You are wrong. I'm right, because that's how they do it. Authoritarian. And they try to enforce things and force you to go along with what they want. But at the background of all this, they want your money through taxes and any other means they can. They want your money, because without your money, they can't do anything. Okay. They basically leftists, their faith is, because it's like a religion, is that of utopia. What they feel is utopia, the perfect society. It's the same thing as heaven to a theist, right? For them, utopia is their heaven. And as they say, utopia is reached across a sea of blood. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself.